There is one rule billionaires never break, and most people don't even know it exists. You've probably broken it today without realizing, not out of laziness, but because no one ever told you it mattered. This rule isn't about motivation, it's about something deeper and something that silently separates those who build empires from those who burn out chasing them. And once you understand it, you'll never live the same way again. Let's start with why everything you were taught about success was wrong. You've been playing the wrong game. You wake up, you check your phone, maybe there's already a message from work waiting, a meeting moved, a client complaint, a deadline that just got tighter. You rush to get ready, rush to log in, rush to answer emails, and before you know it, you're already behind. You start the day in reaction mode, and that's where you stay. You jump from task to task, you check off boxes, you feel productive in the moment. But when the day ends, when you finally look up, you realize you've been running on a treadmill, moving fast, but going nowhere. It's frustrating because you're not slacking off, you're not wasting time. You're doing what everyone told you to do. Work hard, be reliable, stay busy, and yet your life doesn't look anything like the life you want. You're stuck, hustling for tiny wins, while people around you, people with less experience, less drive, less discipline, somehow keep pulling ahead. And it's not just once. It's over and over again, month after month, year after year. It doesn't add up. You start to wonder if success is just luck, if wealth is just for the connected, if maybe you missed your shot. But it's not luck. It's not a conspiracy. And it's not that you're broken. It's that you've been playing the wrong game. See, you were trained to chase effort. You were praised for being busy, for being available, for doing more. You were rewarded for output, not outcomes, for hours worked, not value created. So now, even when you're working hard, you're not working toward anything that compounds. You're trying to climb a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. And meanwhile, there's a different game being played, a game you were never taught, a game where progress doesn't come from doing more, but from multiplying what you've already done, where people build once and benefit for years, where one idea, one system, one rule changes everything. The people who are winning, they're not working 10x harder than you. They're not smarter than you. They've just stopped trading time for progress. And they've started building leverage. They follow one rule, quietly, relentlessly, no matter how busy they get, no matter how big they grow. They never break it. And if you don't know that rule, you'll keep running harder on the wrong path while they build freedom with every step. This isn't a motivational quote. This is the reason you feel stuck, because the difference between staying where you are and finally breaking through comes down to one thing. And it's time you learned the rule billionaires live by, the one rule. Billionaires never break. Billionaires don't all look the same. They don't all act the same. Some are loud, some are quiet, some are charismatic visionaries, others are awkward engineers. Some inherited opportunity, others started from nothing. But no matter where they began or how they operate, they all share one invisible habit, one principle that shapes every decision they make, one rule they never violate, no matter how successful they get. They never trade time for money without leverage. That's it. That's the rule. It might sound underwhelming at first, like it's too simple to be a secret, but don't let the simplicity fool you. This one rule is the dividing line between people who chase money their entire lives and people who build freedom. It's the quiet rule that separates those who survive from those who scale. And most people go their entire lives without ever learning it. Because here's what nobody tells you. The way you were taught to earn guarantees that you stay small. You were trained to believe that income should match effort, that the harder you work, the more you deserve. That if you put in your hours, you'll eventually be rewarded. But that formula doesn't scale. It burns you out because it trades the only thing you can never get back: your time. Your time is limited. 24 hours. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, young or old. You don't get more than that, and once it's spent, it's gone. So if your income depends on your time, your life will always be capped. That's how the average person lives. They work a job, they get paid by the hour. Maybe they freelance, maybe they run a service, maybe they hustle 80 hours a week. But if they stop working, the money stops too. No input, no output, no time, no return. But billionaires, they never play that game. They don't build businesses that rely on them showing up. They build systems, engines, machines that keep running whether they're in the room or not. They don't ask, how can I do more? They ask, how can I make more happen without me? And that's what leverage is. Leverage is the art of multiplying your impact. It's about doing something once and having it pay you over and over again. It's building assets instead of chasing tasks. It's the difference between being a worker and becoming a builder. Think about it. Jeff Bezos didn't get rich by packing Amazon boxes. He built infrastructure, logistics, automation, code. He used software and systems to move millions of packages a day without lifting a finger. His real job wasn't working harder. It was creating leverage. I don't manually assemble Teslas. I don't write every line of code at SpaceX either. What I do is think in systems. I use people, capital, knowledge, and technology to expand the mission, to multiply the impact. That's leverage. And it's the only reason I can build at the scale I do. Warren Buffett, he doesn't build factories. He doesn't run day-to-day operations. He uses capital as leverage. One smart investment held for years can produce more wealth than a lifetime of hard labor. Even Oprah, she doesn't go live every morning, but her voice, her content, her brand, they continue to move through platforms she built years ago. That's leverage too. Different tools, same rule. Never trade time for money without leverage. And you might think that's great for billionaires. They have teams, they have money, they have reach. But that thinking is exactly what keeps most people stuck. You don't need a billion-dollar company to use leverage. You don't even need money. You just need to stop thinking like a laborer and start thinking like a builder. Because leverage doesn't have to be complicated. It can start small. It could be a piece of content you post that works while you sleep. A tool you build that automates your day, a process that someone else can run without you. It doesn't matter how big it is. What matters is that it scales without more of your time. That's the shift. Most people don't fail because they're not working hard. They fail because they keep working hard in a system that can't scale. They keep renting their life out by the hour, never realizing that time doesn't compound, but systems do. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. You start questioning everything. You start recognizing the traps, the meetings that waste your focus, the clients that own your calendar, the jobs that consume your best hours, but leave you no closer to freedom. That's the power of this rule. It doesn't just change your income, it changes your lens. You stop asking, how can I earn more? And start asking, what can I build once that will earn for me forever? Never trade time for money without leverage. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, but it's how empires are built. And once you start living by it, really living by it, the game changes. And the most incredible part, you can start using this rule today, right now, even if you're starting from zero. Let's look at how this rule quietly builds billion-dollar empires and how it can change your life too. How this rule quietly builds empires. Here's the part no one talks about. The most powerful transformations don't make noise. They don't happen with applause or headlines. They don't look dramatic, not at first. They look like a decision, quiet, focused, consistent, and that's exactly how this rule works. When you hear the word billionaire, you think big moves, giant deals, headlines, risk, disruption, but underneath all that flash is something far more dangerous and far more strategic. They use leverage like a surgeon uses a scalpel, precisely, deliberately, quietly. They don't chase results. They build engines that produce results for them, and those engines, they almost always start small. One system, one tool, one insight, repeated, improved, scaled. That's it. But here's what most people miss. While you're trying to keep up ticking boxes, replying to emails, managing meetings, they're designing systems that never sleep, machines that keep multiplying in the background. While you're distracted, they're compounding, and the gap keeps widening. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. When Jeff Bezos launched Amazon, he wasn't trying to be the world's richest man. He was focused on leverage. He didn't just sell books, he built a distribution system. He invested heavily in software and automation early, even when it slowed down short-term profits. Why? Because he wasn't playing the short game. He was buying time in the future, and it worked. That code, that system, that infrastructure, it scaled. Orders kept coming in, whether Bezos was working or not, whether he was sick, tired, distracted, or on vacation. That's the point. The machine didn't need him anymore. That's leverage in action. Same story with me. SpaceX isn't powered by my daily schedule. It runs on the systems I put in place, the teams, the engineering architecture, the layers of decision-making that move without me. I don't do every task. I set the direction. I build the framework, and then I get out of the way. That's not luck. That's the rule, and I follow it obsessively. Take Warren Buffett. He doesn't create products. He doesn't code. He doesn't manufacture anything, but he mastered the leverage of capital. While most people try to save money, Buffett puts money to work. He buys businesses. He lets the earnings compound. Time becomes his ally, not his limit. And look at Oprah. Her face is a brand, her voice a platform, but she doesn't need to show up every day. Her interviews, her network deals, her licensing, they keep paying her long after the cameras stop rolling. That's content leverage. A single conversation, captured once, monetized forever. Different industries, different tools, same rule. They all built something once and let it work for them forever. And here's what's most important. None of it happened by accident. These are intentional moves. These are builders who understood early on that time is their most limited resource, and they refused to waste it trading hour for dollar. So they invested in the things that scale. They poured energy into systems instead of tasks. They played the long game. They built slow at first, but then fast forever. And the contrast, it shows up painfully over time. Most people are still solving the same problems every week, still answering the same messages, still chasing the same paychecks. They confuse effort for progress. They confuse motion for growth. And because they're busy, they feel like they're moving forward. But movement doesn't mean traction. Effort doesn't mean expansion. Without leverage, you're just spinning a wheel harder, and that's the trap. You think the answer is to work more, sleep less, try harder, but billionaires never think like that. They know that the most powerful way to grow isn't to do more, it's to make sure what you do keeps working without you. They follow the rule, never trade time for money without leverage, because that's how you quietly build an empire, not with noise, not with hustle, but with structure, with scale, with systems that produce even when you don't. And here's the kicker, it doesn't take a fortune to start doing this if you understand what's been holding you back. The reason most people never use this rule. By now, you've seen the pattern. You've seen how the most successful people on the planet move differently, not by chance, not by luck, but by principle, by discipline, by leverage. So why doesn't everyone follow the same rule? Why? Doesn't everyone build systems that work for them? Why do most people, even smart, hardworking people, keep trading time for money year after year, knowing deep down that it's not working? It's not because they're stupid, and it's not because they don't want freedom. It's because leverage feels unnatural at first. See, most people are addicted to control. They've been taught that if you want something done right, you do it yourself. That working harder makes you more valuable. That being constantly involved means you're important. So when you tell them to build something that works without them, their first instinct isn't excitement, it's fear. Fear that if they let go, it'll fall apart. Fear that if they're not hands-on every hour, they'll lose their relevance. Fear that if they stop grinding, they'll be seen as lazy or average or replaceable. So instead of building freedom, they build cages. Cages made of meetings, cages made of checklists, cages made of control. They stay busy, always busy, and it feels noble, it feels productive. But what they're really doing is reinforcing a system that drains them. A system that gives them just enough reward to keep them trapped, but never enough to set them free. It's like running on a treadmill. You're exhausted, you're sweating, your heart is pounding, but you're not going anywhere. And you're afraid to jump off because at least the treadmill is familiar. At least it looks like progress, even if it's really just motion. And that's the problem. Leverage doesn't look like hustle. It doesn't look like being everywhere doing everything. It looks like stillness, like space, like something working without you. And for most people, that's uncomfortable. Because leverage requires trust, it requires systems, delegation, thinking long term. It means handing off, automating, building tools that do what you once did manually. And that feels like a loss of control. It feels risky, like you're giving away your power. But here's the truth. The real risk isn't letting go, it's holding on. The real danger is staying small, staying stuck, staying busy in a system that rewards you for burning out. That's the trap most people never escape. Because even when they see the rule working for others, they don't believe it can work for them. And that's not just fear. Sometimes it's identity. Some people don't avoid leverage because they're scared of failing. They avoid it because they're scared of succeeding. Because if they actually build freedom, they have to decide what to do. With it, leverage forces you to ask bigger questions. If your time is yours, how do you use it? If you're no longer trapped in the loop, where do you go? What do you build? What's your mission? Most people never stop to ask that. So they stay in motion, they stay reactive, they stay numb, because it's easier to be overwhelmed than it is to be intentional. Easier to be tired than to be clear. But if you're still listening, then something in you already knows that you're not here to stay busy. You're not here to repeat the same year over and over again. You're here to break the pattern. You're here to build something that lasts. And even if it feels foreign, even if it feels uncertain, you're ready to stop living on a leash. Because this rule, the one billionaires never break it, isn't just about income. It's about identity. It's about stepping into a new version of yourself. One who doesn't trade hours for scraps. One who doesn't confuse busyness for progress. One who builds. And the best part, you don't need millions. You don't need a big team. You just need to start with one move that builds leverage instead of trading your time. And that's exactly what we'll cover next. How to use this rule, even if you're starting with nothing. How to use the rule, even if you have nothing yet. You don't have a team. You don't have investors. You don't have a platform, a product, or some life-changing idea that's going to go viral. That's okay. You don't need any of that to start using the rule. Because leverage doesn't start with scale. It starts with intention. Most people think you need to be rich to use leverage, that you need capital to invest, or a massive audience to influence, or a network to delegate to. That's the lie. That's the trap that keeps most people sitting on the sidelines, telling themselves they'll start one day, but one day never comes. Because leverage doesn't wait for permission, and it doesn't require perfection. It requires a shift from doing everything to building things that do the work for you. So how do you use the rule right now with what you already have? Start by asking a simple question. What can I create once that continues to work without me? That's the starting line. Not what pays you today, not what impresses your friends, not what feels productive, but what builds momentum
on its own. It could be content something as simple as a single video, a single blog post, a single message that spreads without you pushing it. Every view, every share, every replay is
leverage. It could be code a tool, a script, a template that solves a problem while you sleep. You build it once, it keeps delivering. That's leverage. It could be a system, a checklist, a workflow, a repeatable process that someone else can run so you don't have to, or a digital product, an ebook, a course, a training, something people can use without needing your presence. That's leverage too. And if none of that clicks yet, start with documenting. Turn what you know into something useful. Turn your repeated tasks into templates. Turn your insights into assets. Don't just do build tools from your work. The goal isn't to be everywhere. The goal is to build one thing that goes everywhere without you. That's the shift, because when you're stuck in survival mode, you wake up every day asking, what do I have to do today to stay afloat? But when you step into leverage mode, you start asking, what can I build today that removes the need to stay afloat at all? And yes, it will feel slow at first. It will feel unproductive. You'll be tempted to go back to the familiar grind, to trade hours for instant returns, to jump on every opportunity that feels urgent. But that's the old game, and you know where that leads. This is different. This is about protecting your time, not selling it, building something scalable, not repeatable, creating freedom, not more obligations disguised as income. You don't need to be great to start. You need to be willing to plant something that grows, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Because once you see it work, once you feel something you built move without you, you'll never go back. You'll stop asking for raises. You'll stop chasing clients. You'll stop burning yourself out for progress that disappears the moment you stop showing up. You'll realize that freedom isn't built in sprints. It's built in quiet hours, stacking assets instead of tasks. And that's how billionaires started too. Not with armies, not with luck, but with a clear choice. I'm done trading my time for money. I'm building something that compounds. So ask yourself right now, what are you doing today that still pays you next week, next month, next year? If the answer is nothing, that's your wake-up call. Start small, build once, reuse, repurpose, automate, systemize, multiply. One piece of leverage built today can replace 100 hours of effort tomorrow. And once that shift happens, once leverage kicks in, everything starts to feel different. You move differently, you think differently, you breathe differently. Because in the final chapter, you'll see the real reward of this rule. It's not just about money. It's about never being trapped again. Why this rule doesn't just make you rich. It makes you free. One morning, you wake up and something feels different. There's no panic in your chest, no urgent email dragging you out of bed, no endless to-do list controlling your every move. For the first time in a long time, your time feels like it's actually yours. You're not behind, you're not racing the clock, you're not grinding just to stay in place. Because something you built, something you created with intention is now moving without you. That's not just wealth, that's freedom. And this is what the rule is really about. It's not just about making more money. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, your time. The rule doesn't just scale your income, it scales your clarity. When billionaires follow this rule, yes, they build empires. Yes, they create generational wealth. But what they're really doing is protecting themselves from ever becoming slaves to their own success. They're designing lives that don't collapse the moment they stop showing up. Because what good is wealth if you're still trapped, if you still can't breathe, if you still don't control your own day? Freedom is the real flex, and leverage is how you get there. The people you admire, the ones who seem to move with ease, who create massive impact without burning out, they're not superhuman. They've just learned to stop chasing and start engineering. They don't react to life, they design it. And this rule, this is the blueprint. Never trade time for money without leverage. That's the line they never cross. It's not optional, it's sacred, because they understand what's at stake. They've seen what happens to people who work their entire lives and never escape the grind. People who build incomes but not independence. People who win the game but never leave the arena. And the saddest part, most people don't even realize they're stuck. They've been so conditioned to be busy, to be needed, to be productive. They've never tasted what it feels like to be free, to own their calendar, to control their energy, to wake up and choose. But you're not most people. You're here. You listened, you understood, you saw the game behind the game, and now you have a choice. You can go back to the old way, keep trading hours, keep chasing, keep wondering why it always feels like you're just barely catching up, or you can start building the thing that works without you, the thing that gives you space, the thing that gives you options, the thing that gives you life. Because once you've experienced it, once you felt the power of true leverage, you'll never be able to settle for anything less. You'll stop tolerating chaos. You'll stop explaining your worth. You'll stop burning your time for things that don't scale. And instead, you'll build systems. You'll create assets. You'll protect your time like it's sacred because it is. You'll make decisions from clarity, not fear. You'll walk into rooms with presence, not pressure. And you'll start to realize something deep, something permanent. That real power isn't in what you do, it's in what you build. This is the one rule billionaires never break because it's not just a tactic. It's how they buy back their time, how they protect their peace, how they build wealth without losing themselves. And now you have that same rule, that same lens, that same key. What you do with it is up to you.